to discuss all things pop culture. I'm your host, Jordan. Jordan, yeah.
That's the one thing you laughed at.
And Jordan.
You got the name wrong. You got the name wrong.
I don't know my name.
Whoa, hold up.
I don't even mess up anybody else's name. It's messed up
Put
my
a question
name.
mark at the end. I'm Jordan Wade.
I'm Jordan. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of That's Alt, the show that unites the internet's most beautiful and brightest geeks to discuss all things pop culture. I'm your host, Jordan Wade, and this week we're going to discuss our favorite films, video games, television shows, and really our guiltiest pleasures of 2012. With me I have Alex, the BossNessMonster.
What's going on?
The always lovely Kelly CK.
Nice.
And our good friend and buddy, Mike Roninphan.
Oh, hello.
I think the only way we really get into this is really by just diving in. And so the first thing I want to talk about is our best films. Mike, what was the best film you saw this past year?
Well, best film is kind of surprising to me because the two most anticipated movie coming into 2012 was, of course, Marvel, The Avengers, and The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I was expecting them to be exactly what they came out to be. I mean, Marvel was a fun ride. I enjoyed it. It was a technical feat and legality wise and copyright wise, how to get all these characters into one film. That's special on its own.
Yeah.
Dark Knight was a great ending to a trilogy. I don't think it surpasses Dark Knight, the original Dark Knight, the one in 2008.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the films and they were okay. But the two films that pop up in my mind when I think about 2012, the first one being is Cabin in the Woods, because it was a postmodern horror film that threw a wrench in the workings of normal horror films in general, and it surprised me. And knowing that Joss Whedon helped write and co-produce it was a big asset and reason for me to go watch it. And the other film will be probably Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah. Because I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I was expecting more of just slight-handed jokes towards video games, and then not a complete story. Yeah. So that was probably my
Cabin in the Woods was interesting because, I mean, you have people on both sides. There's people that really love it, that get what it's trying to go for, and there's people that go in just expecting kind of a generic slasher flick and they walk out pretty disappointed. And Wreck-It Ralph was interesting this year because it was the first time it seemed like that Disney animation was better than Pixar. So, but yeah, those are both great choices. Kelly, what was the best film you saw this past year?
I think we all need to take a moment of silence and just revel in the fact that we've now ended a very epic love story. I think it surpasses Gone with the Wind. I think it's our generation's Romeo and Juliet.
And what might that be?
It's just a little film called Twilight.
Oh, just a little tiny film.
Just a little thing called Twilight.
If I were to hit you, I don't think a court in the world would convict me.
They may give him a medal.
Yeah, but seriously, was that the?
No, it was actually my worst. Okay. I mean, I have to admit I've seen all of them and read all the books, so.
And they're bad, and you keep watching.
And I know they're bad, and I keep watching them. It got so bad, yeah.
But as a female, you're required to watch them and read the books.
Yeah,
right?
I guess that's true. Okay. I still judge myself. It's fine. I really
as long as you're judging yourself, that's all that matters.
I'm judging you right now.
We're all judging you.
I can. I can feel your stare. It's okay. Really though, I loved The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, it definitely didn't surpass The Dark Knight by any means, but I went in not expecting it to, and so it lived up to what I expected. And just the fact that we now have Bane impressions is the most glorious thing ever. And so
you haven't lived until you listen to Bane in different countries, different languages.
I haven't yet. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, we were watching, I think Spanish Bane went out the best.
Bane from Juarez.
Oh, man. But it's still the deep,
Bane was already badass, but being, Hispanic Bane or, Spanish-speaking Bane is much more badass.
Right.
I mean, it's the ultimate Bane.
He rolls the out those R's.
Oh, man.
Señor Batman.
Señor Wayne. It would be like watching a whole new movie. It's exciting.
Le hemos dicho que era urgente.
Hablando del rey de Roma,
por la puerta asoma.
What was funny is the guy who did the voiceover, the dubbing for Batman, even had this little grunting voice still.
Yeah, he did his own growling Spanish Batman.
Yes.
It was pretty impressive, yeah.
And then French Catwoman got you.
French Catwoman was fantastic. Anne Hathaway was great, but having a French accent was even better.
Makes things better, yeah.
It's like adding bacon to it.
Just a little bacon on top of that.
Some chocolate.
Lay bacon. You know, that French,
Le bacon.
French bacon.
So, Alex, what was the best thing you saw this year?
Mine was the Raid Redemption, the Indonesian action film. Because for the longest, Tony Jaa's The Protector, that was like probably, I thought that was one of the best martial arts action movies ever. That movie could do no wrong for me. It was like the dopest thing ever. Then The Raid came out, and then like The Raid it was slow in the beginning. Like, you know, you saw the only slow part was when they were approaching the building, and after that, it was just cranked up to 10 that whole time. You know, and I never got tired of watching it. And everybody else I put on to it, saw it, and loved it. So that was my top movie for last year.
What's funny, I went to go see that when it opened here in Houston, and I enjoyed it. And I thought I thought the action was strong. And I thought it was a solid film. But then when I sat down and watched it with you, when you finally saw it on Blu-ray, it's like it opened my eyes and just you make an action film just so much better, Alex.
I do. I'm like bacon. You know, I just make everything better.
It's like bacon, cheese, and jalapenos. It's like,
give me some on that.
All
that flavor.
It's a flavor storm in your mouth.
What? You took that movie from like a 7 to like a 9.5. Like, you know, I mean, it's like that was
9.
Nobody experiences an action film until they watch it with you. You just make it so much better.
Yeah, that was my movie for last year.
For me, this year was a great year. It was a strong year. I saw quite a few great films. I saw The Master, Silver Linings Playbook, but the one that really resonated with me the most was Beast of the Southern Wild, which won the Camera d'Or from the Cannes International Film Festival in France earlier in the year. It focuses on a young girl by the name of Hush Puppy, and it takes place in the Louisiana region. But the movie kind of plays out like a modern epic poem. I mean, it's like watching a new version of the Odyssey or the Iliad or something like that, you know. And it's all from her perspective. So real things things that would happen in the real world or from a child's perspective seem so much more, you know, grand and have so much more weight. So it's interesting to watch a film from a child's perspective. So Beast of the Southern Wild was probably the best thing I saw.
Should watch it with Alex.
So was it kind of like was that Pan's Labyrinth? How she saw stuff from her own like little imagination, like kind of sort of like
it works. I mean, the budget is much lower than what Pan's Labyrinth had, but there are some fantastical elements that happen in the film, and so there's a little bit mix of fantasy and reality. So it's worth the watch for anybody who hadn't seen it. It's out on Blu-ray and DVD now.
Did she live with her daddy in the bathtub?
The next thing I want to move to is video games, and again, I'm going to start with Mike. Mike, what was the best video game you played this year?
Well, lacking a lot of time this year, I only got to play a handful, but the game I played most was probably Darksiders II.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying it's a great game, it's just one of the few games I did play. I liked it to a certain extent, but you know, the first one wasn't a genre-breaking game to begin with. It didn't elevate anything.
Yeah.
I'm engrossed in the world, and I like the art direction because I'm a fan of the artist Joe Mad, who did the artwork for it. But it pissed me off at the same time because they turned it into almost an MMO-like game where you have to go collect loot and stuff like that.
Was very reminiscent of like Kingdoms of Amalur or even like World of Warcraft or something like that.
They made the world too vast, and there's too many things to collect. And the things that would annoy me is subquests. So I'll go to someone in the world mentions, hey, there's a giant out there sleeping. You can use this to wake him up. I'll go there and wake him up. Hey, if you can, if you find my different body parts that are scattered across the world, I'll help you get this book. Okay, I get him. It took me like 20 minutes to find all his body parts. They climb back to him, and he's fully, made again.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, well, the book, I don't remember where it is. But you can go ask this lady.
He must have had a party ass night that night. He woke up, couldn't find his
It's like, you go ask the shaman. I was like, okay, I'll go to the shaman. It's like, hey, I would help you find this book if you get these 3 things for me. I'm like, motherfucker, just give me it. And then once I get the book, it does nothing. You can sell it. So that was what the game was like. And then when they send you on epic loot, also it's like, hey, you defeat this boss, you get this scythe. Cool. I go defeat the boss, I get the scythe. It's less powerful than the one I'm currently carrying. Why are you wasting my time? That was the whole game to me. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I played for the story. Gameplay was fun. Questing was just a bitch.
Yeah.
So that was probably the only game I played that engrossed me really, and I guess the other one would be Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Okay.
Very well. Where can I find this chronicle?
It's been so long since I held it. I do not know where it lies.
Kelly, I know in past episodes we've discussed RE6 with you quite a bit. So did RE6 make your best game of the year?
Of course it didn't.
Twilight game.
Yeah. Well, they did have that Scenic game. Y'all were joking about getting me, but anyways, yeah.
Sorry for the disappointment.
It was, I mean, they just keep getting worse and worse. So it was a disappointment. I still haven't even played the other two yet.
The other two campaigns?
The other two campaigns, yeah, they're still.
That's a shame.
It's, yeah, and that was the only game I was really looking forward to. I thought finally we're going back to the older games. But the one game that I will say that will be my favorite, I haven't started playing it yet, but I have played Borderlands, so I'm excited.
You haven't played it yet, but you're pretty confident it's going to be the best game from this year?
I'm pretty confident.
You played Borderlands 1.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I played Borderlands 1, so I got this for Christmas, so I'm excited to play it. I've heard everyone talking about how good it is, so I mean that was the only other game I was excited about. So which will definitely surpass Resident Evil 6.
Well, it sounds like the bar is pretty low.
It's pretty low.
6, so it probably doesn't have to do
all
too
the
much.
games I'm real excited about are coming out next year.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It seems to be the way it's going for pretty much any of us.
Everyone's going to be broke.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, did you find anything from 2012 that you enjoyed game-wise?
Yeah, I would say the Walking Dead games. I think that was my favorite one because usually I don't play games like that.
Yeah.
That's like I'm going to play I'm not a big point and click game. I like play fighting games or platformers, but I downloaded it when it first came out. I said, what's the worst it can be, whatever. So I played it and it just got me, like the story, like because I read the comic and I watch the show, and the game itself it ties in with the comic because you see characters from the comic because it takes place like right around the beginning of the outbreak,
right.
And the different choices you make, everything you do, it affects the end of the game, and I found myself after the final chapter just, there's one scene where you're talking with a certain person and I was just getting mad at him and myself, like the choices I made.
Right.
It's a game, but the story and the characters really get you just sucked into it, and it's
slap the TV.
I almost broke my monitor, like real talk.
Well, I played through the whole game as well, and I will agree with him. The emotions you feel in that game are very real. You get mad, you get sad. I mean,
I'm not even gonna front. I had to hold my head. I almost dropped a tear. Like it gets sad at certain parts.
It makes you somewhat of an emotional record point.
It is. It does. So that was my top game of last year.
And I think that's a testament.
I lost
to,
respect for you.
And the episodic gaming, I think, has a bright future, and especially if it does stuff like Walking Dead, where it can, the gameplay-wise, there's not a whole lot there, but as far as story development, it's amazing, and I'm intrigued to see where they can take what they've learned from that, where Telltale Games can go.
It was surprising. It was nominated for the Game of the Year on the VGAs.
Well,
because it's like
it won Game of the Year.
Oh yeah, it won.
So that's pretty impressive in itself. I think as a whole the year was sort of down. I would agree Walking Dead was probably one of the better games I played this year. Obviously you only got around to Darksiders II. For me, I would say Walking Dead's up there, but the game I've probably played the most this past year is NBA 2K13. I'm not ashamed to say I'm a big sports game fan. I'm a big sports fan in general. I've bought every single NBA 2K since ESPN, I believe NBA Basketball 2K4, 2K3 or whatever it was when I went multiple console. But 2K13 is kind of like the perfect the closest thing they got to a realistic basketball game, and every year they get better. But this year was just it was pure bliss. So
I heard a lot of cursing from your room.
I get I've also broken controllers over sports games and stuff like that. I get pretty darn. I get emotional. I get emotional in Walking Dead. I get more emotional in sports games. So you don't get between me.
Pass the ball.
Yeah. Make the freaking shot. Just like I mean, there's some moments where I get pretty tense in there.
I've seen blood fly over Madden, so I can agree with that statement.
You caused blood to fly on.
Oh no! See, I had to actually stop playing sports games after a while. I had some friends who were playing Madden, and over one play, I saw best friends become rivals.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Something of a comic book. It was the craziest stuff ever.
Yeah, that's what those sports games will do to you. We're going to move on to the realm of television. Again, I'll also go around with Mike. Mike, what was the best show you saw this past year?
Probably Walking Dead, because it elevated compared to season 2. Season 2 was slightly disappointing. It picked up a little bit at the end, but this entire season has been spot on, moving on, and there wasn't a part where I disliked it.
Yeah.
Especially introduction of new characters and stuff like that, and Michael Rourke returning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a great surprise. But I would say also comedy-wise, I love The League, and I still love The League. That's probably the best comedy show out there for me right now. And I'm not even a huge football sports fan, and there's been some complaints about it, people saying that they don't talk about the fantasy football side of it.
Right,
enough.
right.
But I was like, that's not the draw of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's gone past that initial premise, I'm guessing. I mean, I finally got around to watching a few episodes with you, and I thought the show was pretty darn funny.
I mean, he got me into it too, and it's
Right.
hilarious. And I know zero about sports, football, like nothing about it, and it's still really funny to me, and it still grabs your attention.
All right, I love hospital parties. Where is the bar?
There's no bar, it's a hospital.
It's America, there's always a bar.
This cannot happen. You people cannot be in here.
No, they can stay. I want to make my own first-round pick. Oh, God!
Okay, it's only just and that's the basis of how the group knows each other, you know? It's, the show's about everything
The characters
else.
are very lovable, and some of them you really despise, but it's characters you love to hate and stuff like that.
And it's a show that seems to be growing in popularity as time goes on.
Right.
Another show, he was talking about Walking Dead, a show that kind of built on previous seasons and did that well. I understand the show you really enjoyed this past year. I felt built exponentially on the season, and from its first season.
Game of Thrones, it really knocked it out of the park this season. I mean, you could tell they really had a stronger budget coming in. The characters were stronger. It was really cool to see Daenerys kind of holding her own this time and seeing like this whole journey she's been on and the woman she's become now. But I mean, Peter Dinklage is always amazing. So it was overall a really good season. There wasn't too many slow parts in it. So I'm excited for March 8th, I think, is when the next season starts.
31st.
Oh, it's the 31st?
31st, we gotta wait till the end of March.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I am in complete agreement with you. That show is challenging. Challenging for my number one television show on obviously on TV. So yeah, that show is getting better, and I'm really excited to see where they go with season 3.
Definitely.
I bet we had to do a hand check with her when Drago showed up.
I forgot. Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah,
She loves
Jason
her
I was
Drogo.
excited.
Yeah.
Those are Drogo.
She likes her Jason Momoa. I guess.
No, just in that show I found out. Not
Baywatch.
Not Baywatch. Not Conan. No.
Conan didn't work for you.
I saw that on Netflix. I watched like 10 minutes of it. I was.
Actually, Sergey Landis. Actually, I was at a friend's wedding, and all of a sudden in the middle of the ceremony, and I got a text from her. She's like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Oh, Jason Momoa made it back." It was the season finale, and I was at a wedding. I was like, I want to watch it. And as soon as I got the text, she said, "OMG!" I was like, "Oh, so he surprised me with a surprise cameo."
You didn't even have. She didn't have to explain. You know exactly what she was talking about.
Fangirl me came out. It was exciting. But my other comedy-wise, the shows I like are Parks and Rec and New Girl. Really kind of surprised me.
Okay.
Those are really funny shows. I don't know if anyone here watches them, but
No.
I know no one watches them. Not even
I've
Parks
heard
and Rec.
great things about Park and Rec.
Yeah.
They say if you like Arrested Development, then you'll love Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
So
they
it's something
really.
I might start watching.
Yeah, they have some really great characters. It kind of reminds me of The Office and a cross between that and Arrested Development.
Okay.
I think they really have a cast of characters that hold their own. But
Just give me all the bacon and eggs you have. Wait. I worry what you just heard was, give me a lot of bacon and eggs. What I said was, give me all the bacon and eggs you have. Do you understand?
Did you watch the chick show of all time? Is Girls? Did you watch that?
no, I didn't actually. Yeah, no, I saw like it because it would come on after True Blood.
Oh yeah.
I saw a little bit of that.
She keeps digging her ditch a little bit deeper. Just a tad bit deeper. All the vampire love.
I'm just gonna leave it here now.
The ladies and their vampires.
Glittering love.
Hey, they
Alex,
don't glitter, okay?
Did you love shows with vampires as well?
No, I did not.
Oh really?
You know what though? You got me into True Blood though. You
See, you
should
bringing
remember
up
that.
old shit.
Wait, what?
That was like season 1 and 2, like when they first
We're
came
working
out.
at GameStop. He's like,
I'm gonna look at you differently from here on out.
I know.
we were
You got-
working
you got-
at
He keeps trying to
You got
justify
Twilight
it to
Yeah,
me too.
yeah.
You got Twilight books in your
We
room?
worked
Hell
at
no.
GameStop, and he was like, Kelly, you should really watch the show. I know it's about
Kelly,
vampires.
you should really stop talking because like you really ain't helping the situation right now.
Street cred going down.
It is.
I don't know if BossNess is a monster anymore. I think
It's
he's
not.
like I think he's
I
like a kitten now.
know, right? I went from like Django level to like Wayne Brady shit because of your ass. Like real talk.
So what show were you in?
Mine was Breaking Bad, man. It was Breaking Bad. That
another
was
great
my
show, another
and it was
fantastic
weird
show.
because I got into that the same weekend I started the Walking Dead game. So I guess I got filled with greatness pause that weekend. but no, it was that show. It's just you see the evolution of Walt from being this, this chemistry teacher who was just a pushover for everybody to just being the dominant alpha guy.
Well, he's become like Tony Montana,
He's smarter though, He's being smarter about his decisions, and you see him trying to juggle that life, and he could have easily decreased a lot of drama had he just said something, but he didn't want it with his wife, but he's like, I gotta keep this on the low, and it just built so much tension. You just saw how he and Jesse, how their characters, they were polar opposites, and then at one point they started kind of met up as the way they were acting, and then they going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So
right. Jesse's scared of him now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he had a gun behind his back just in case.
And so that show right there just really caught me by surprise, and it's one of those shows to where it got better almost after every episode and every season. It just kept getting better and better.
Yeah.
So that's why I was kind of upset with how they did the whole
year season.
But we do get 2 sets of 8 episodes, so it's more episodes as opposed to 13. But
what if the Mayans were right? Okay, what if 2012 would have been it?
They were playing Russian roulette with the Mayans.
Exactly. Luckily, it was in their favor. But if it would have been in the Mayans' favor, man, I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
Would have been real pissed.
Well, fortunately, we're still here. So
That's right.
You'll hopefully get to see,
Exactly.
Unless there's some other doomsday that comes along the way.
Hey, we don't talk about it.
Okay, we won't. For me, I'm going to go ahead and say that pretty much all 3 of the shows y'all listed, those were all 3 shows that were at the top of my list. I'm a big fan of Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead. All 3 of them got better this past season. I'm a huge Mad Men fan, and anybody who knows me knows I'm a big Mad Men fan. I felt that season 5 started off a little slow because I felt like they're kind of reestablishing the show for people who hadn't been along for the ride. But I will have to say the second half of season 5 was fantastic. They started throwing some curveballs, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes this spring for season 6.
We have to find out if he cheats on her. That's what we need to know.
Spoilers. Woman, I'm gonna start watching
There's
it soon.
people here that haven't watched it. I'm trying to get them to watch it.
Like that really ruins the show. Come on.
Yeah, we're talking about Don Draper.
Erroneous!
I want to close it out with the final segment we're going to talk about is our guilty pleasure of the year. Mike, what was your guilty pleasure of 2012?
My guilty pleasure was a film called Lockout.
Lockout,
which is basically Escape from Space, minus Kurt Russell.
Snake
Plissken from Escape from New York and Escape from LA. It was basically almost the same premise. It was a space station, and it was a low-budget movie. It was produced by Luc Besson, I believe, so it was a Europa movie. And it was a space station, and it was also a penal colony with frozen prisoners. Of course, they escaped, and there's a president's daughter was on it, and they sent one man to go save her. And the best part was Guy Pearce played the lead role. His name was Snow. He was not the stereotypical action hero. He wasn't there to save the girl. He had a mission. He had a side mission that he wanted to get to, and saving the girl was just a reason for him to go.
Yeah.
But he treated her like trash the whole time. It was actually kind of refreshing because there was no love chemistry between them absolutely whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's one scene that sticks out in my mind is he just saved her from all the bad guys, and he's like, okay, I got to go do my side mission. Here's the map. Go to the escape pod, get there, and I'll meet you down on Earth. And he hands her the map. She's like, okay, which one's north? Honey, we're in space. There's starboard, starboard and port. And he's like, okay. And then the bad guys came on the monitor and they're like, we're looking for her. Bring her to us.
Yeah, okay, you can tag along, but maybe don't talk. Just keep it zipped. Here, give me the map. Okay, we go this way. North.
He was just a smart aleck jackass. Yeah, she was wounded in the leg. He gets some syringes, he just talks her and he just stabs her in the leg. She's like, what was that? It's like, that's to numb the pain. Want some in your mouth? He was just a total asshole.
So an over-the-top action film.
Horrible budget too, because in the beginning there was a CG chase sequence that was worse than Ultraviolet with Milo Jovovich. Like they didn't even try to animate the whole thing. It was supposed to be in the future.
Yeah.
And they had 1994 Ford cars in it because they couldn't afford it.
Those were classics.
Yeah, 94 Fords are
Yeah,
top.
they have flying cars and other stuff on the road.
94 was a good year.
94 was a good year.
But I would say check it out because he's a hilarious character and I loved him.
Well, we'll have to all check that out. Kelly, what was your guilty pleasure of 2012?
We know one already.
Right. I think we firmly established one.
Well, I was gonna say True Blood was, but you're gonna hit me. So that was one of them. It's awful. It's getting worse by the seasons as they
I know why
on.
you watch it.
We all know why I watch it.
Say his name. Go ahead.
Alexander Skarsgård. If he stays on, I'll keep watching.
He's in 50 Shades of Grey, the movie. You also watch it.
Yeah, my mom's oddly excited about that, so I'm a little...
Hey, we got that on YouTube now. You gotta share this link with your mom.
But the other one would be Downton Abbey. I love that show. I just watched the Christmas special for the season end. I'm a little upset with them right now, but I've always enjoyed it since season 1. It's kind of funny to explain to people. It's like, oh yeah, it's do you want to watch the show about British people that are rich in the 1920s?
Yeah.
Like, most people aren't really that excited, but it's a good show, and I'm hoping, from what I've seen of the last episode, that it'll pick back up. But I mean, I'm still gonna keep watching it. So.
Well, I've heard good things about that as well.
Yeah, it's got a ton of nominations. It's a great show, so I'm excited for it.
I'll have to check that one out. Alex, what's your guilty pleasure?
Aquabats.
Aquabats.
Yes, the Aquabats.
Aquabats. The Aquabats.
Yes, the Aquabats.
Keep saying the name.
Aquabats, man. But no, it was
What brought you to the Aquabats?
Well,
I've never even heard of this.
Well, first time I got exposed to the Aquabats was we went to Comic-Con in San Diego last year.
Okay.
And I would just walk around the floor. I would see people with these long sleeve blue shirts, the A on, and I saw the actual guys, and I'm like, what is that? I'm like, that's weird. Why people dressing up like them? They ain't popular because I don't know who they are, whatever.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, man, it was on Netflix. I was like, oh, let me see what this is. And I just watched it, and it was like some of the most random stuff I had ever seen. It's like if you were to take the Banana Splits and Power Rangers and all like those weird campy shows and just put them into one, and that's the show. Because it's like they fight. It was one episode I watched. You had Lou Diamond Phillips dressed as a Native American playing the Sun Spirit.
The actual Lou Diamond Phillips.
John Heater from Napoleon Dynamite. He was dressed up as like this half-eagle human bad guy who was a brother of one of the guys in the Aquabats.
Okay.
And they were having like guitar solo battles and stuff. It was like some of the most off-the-wall stuff. And halfway through the battles, they'll stop and like, oh, what's that? Oh, a cartoon. And it would be like this poorly 70s anime version of themselves having another adventure.
Oh,
so it's just like the most random, awkward show, but I've been sitting there watching it.
What network is that on?
The Hub.
The Hub, okay.
Yeah.
This shouldn't take us very long. That little dude is just so wrong.
Okay.
But the show was just so random, and I love it, man.
What about your guilty pleasures, Jordan?
Mine wasn't a TV show or a movie or a video game or anything like that. Mine actually was, I'm a big fan of The Room. Again, much like I'm a big fan of Mad Men. Those who know me know I'm a huge fan of The Room as well. Tommy Wiseau's The Room. I've been to live performances of The Room where people act out like Rocky Horror Picture for it, and I've also seen him in person once before. But last month he came through Houston again, and I got to see him in person again, and I was the first person apparently in Houston to buy the Blu-ray version of The Room, so that was a big deal for me. Yes, it's a feather in my hat.
Get that framed.
Achievement unlocked.
Yes.
Achievement unlocked.
And that's combo languages, which is a first for any Blu-ray in history, and that allows for subtitles of 2 different languages to be on the movie at the same time.
Oh, I thought you meant talking to. I'm gonna say they need to put that on Dark Knight Rises. I'm on my Spanish vein, baby.
Yeah.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
It's 2 different sets of subtitles, so you
man.
can have, if you have Italian friends who don't speak English, they can come over and watch it.
They can learn.
They can learn. Yes, it's a good learning tool. But it's always fun. Tommy Wiseau is always off the walls. Greg Sestero is always fun, and every time I go, it's a fun experience to have just this large group of people who love this oddly bad movie that we all love for whatever reason. So seeing The Room live, nobody's gotten to experience that yet. Please go check that out, or check out The Room in general. It's just fantastic. But
yeah, to watch it with friends though.
Yeah. Watch it with friends.
Watching by yourself is just sad.
I'm to the point where I can watch it by myself, but you need to watch it with friends.
Yeah, I tried to watch it by myself and I couldn't.
I just heard crying from his room.
I just couldn't watch this movie. It's horrible.
Like
Watching it with people, though, it was funny though.
Yeah, it's a group activity. Yeah. So
You are lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
Well, that's all we have for this week's episode. Next week, we're going to discuss and look at Eastern versus Western RPGs. As always, follow us on Twitter @Ultness and go to our website, ultness.com. And please feel free to leave comments about your favorite films, television shows, video games, and your guilty pleasures of 2012. As always, thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you next time on That's Alt.
So, you didn't watch Battleship? Alex Skarsgård, isn't it?
I downloaded it and I stopped watching it halfway through once he died. I was like, oh, I don't need to watch
Wait,
this anymore.
what?
Spoiler!
I know, everyone's like,
I was just about to watch Battleship.
it was real bad. It was so bad.
Well, what other movies did y'all watch this past year that wasn't as good, that you still like to watch? I was surprised. I watched Snow White and The Huntsman.
Yeah.
Wasn't that bad?
It wasn't. I mean,
I think it's just the fact that the lead actress they chose was just off-putting. Like, no one likes Case 2.
yeah. Oh, really? She's hotter than Charlize Theron? Yeah, that's really pretty.